Reports from Uganda Prisoners Service show that by November 2025, Uganda had 79,186 inmates, with trends showing increasing convictions and a reduction in remand cases. Article 59(1) and 3 of the Constitution of Uganda provides that every Ugandan citizen 18 years and above has the right to vote and places a duty on the state to ensure that all eligible citizens are registered and able to exercise this right. These constitutional provisions were emphasized in the landmark 2019 High Court decision delivered by Justice Lydia Mugambe, who ordered all prisoners and Ugandans living in diaspora to participate in the general elections.
First of all, when that decision came out, as a commission, we alerted the relevant authorities who are supposed to formulate laws or amend laws or make laws, that before we can embark on implementing this court decision, we need the relevant legal framework in place to allow us to do that.
With only days left to the pause, prisoners and Ugandans living abroad remain excluded.
But remember, our legal framework has a history. For example, where the polling station is supposed to be located is a matter of our history.
Because in the current legal framework, you are allowed to vote at a polling station which is in the parish where you reside or where you originate or you are born. Now, are we going to say, hey, in California, do you have parishes like we have in Uganda so that we set up these polling stations?
The orders were to be implemented by the relevant authorities, including the Attorney General's office.
They are not in prison by their own free will. They've been sent there by the court. For example, if someone were in prison and they wanted to go for medical treatment, you apply to the court. For example, if someone were in prison and they wanted to go for medical treatment, you apply to the court grants you the permission, and then you go to the one. So if any prisoner would like to participate in the election and they feel they are constrained, all they have to do is apply to the court that sent them there to allow them to go and vote.
And this talk of convicts who have been convicted and are serving sentences, it does not take away other rights. And we think it's unfortunate that we have the government, the Attorney General is not keen on ensuring that human rights are respected, even when there are court orders that are very clear. This is a blunt disrespect for court orders. You cannot say that you write to ISA and then they allow you. What is important is that government needs to respect this as a court order. It has never been challenged. It has never been overturned. It must be implemented because, we are saying democracy. How do we achieve this if we cannot allow citizens to enjoy even the basics like voting?
But what exactly makes it hard for the Electoral Commission to include prisoners in the elections?
For instance, you are not going to go to lose the Uganda Prisons Act. I don't have it here. For instance, prohibits certain things, which, if you have to carry out elections, will not be implemented, will not be observed.
You cannot have a polling station inside a place that cannot be fully accessible to the public. So, for example, you cannot have a polling station inside a prison. It's not possible because it's restricted access. That's why we don't even have polling stations inside barracks. So, you cannot go and put a polling station inside a prison. So, if they are to vote, they must come outside. And they can apply to the court to come outside. But otherwise, they're entitled to register and have their national IDs and vote like any other citizen.
And there is not any other alternative that has been put in place by the government, leave alone even respecting the court order, to ensure that at least every citizen is required by the Constitution. So our take, and personally my take, is that we still lack, as far as constitutionalism is concerned, and respect for human rights and the rule of law. We are really scoring so badly because this is a rights issue. Someone has a right, to contribute, has a say in who should govern them. So as far as democratic governance is concerned, we see that, I personally see that there is a reluctance in really respecting that, because for such a thing you shouldn't even have waited for court to even issue an order anyway, because it is obvious and as plain as simple. People are in prison. It is even clear they even have the numbers and the figures and the details of where these people come from. It is very easy to organize it and know, okay, these people are also citizens, they're entitled to vote. And it's not only that. You see how our institutions, special government institutions, are treating court orders. You saw recently we had a decision in Kawaziguruka, the court martial, and you saw the response. The response was the Supreme Court has said it is wrong to try civilians in the court, in the court martial. The response is they go to Parliament and they pass the same law, which is even worse. I saw them the other day swearing in, meaning what the court says should not happen, they are bringing it back in a very. You saw the circumstances under which that law was passed. Is that respect for court orders? It is not. And when you ask them, they will say that they are trying to respect the recommendations of court. But in actual sense, there is in court, there is in other institutions like Parliament to disrespect the court order. And that also goes back to governance and separation of powers. Why should we have, court decisions? And a court should be independent, judiciary should be independent. Why should we have court decisions being overlooked, overstepped by legislation? If according to the Constitution it is wrong. So it shows you how bad the rule of law index is in the country, especially by the government institutions.
No, so what is necessary, or what is therefore required, was the relevant legal framework. Now, for as long as there is no relevant legal framework, the Electoral Commission's hands are tied.
According to the 2024 national census conducted by Uganda Bureau of Statistics, there are approximately 2 million Ugandans living in the diaspora.
So you are not going to go to the United States of America and say we are setting up a polling station as we do in Uganda, in every state of the US. You must have the relevant law that defines how you are going to enable voters in the US or in the diaspora to participate in these elections.
But they are entitled to vote. All prisoners and people in the diaspora are entitled to vote. The people in the diaspora can fly back here, vote, and then go back. All that is provided. But
that is a lie to say that someone can vote. Unless the person in the diaspora is saying they can come back and vote from here and then go back. That is a cost. Because we know we have communities out there. Ugandans who are there working. If you notice, even we have started, charging them to pay money to do things there. So if they cannot enjoy the rights they are supposed to, benefit and enjoy as Ugandans, even those in diaspora, then why are they even paying taxes here? What is the purpose? So that is all a lie, because we've not seen any attempt by the Attorney General or his office or by government to ensure that those orders are.
If the court orders are implemented, Uganda will join South Africa, Denmark, Finland, Ireland, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and Ukraine in allowing prisoners to vote.
Now, for as long as there is no relevant legal framework, the Electoral Commission's hands are tied. What is therefore required was the relevant legal framework. Now, for as long as there is no relevant legal framework, the Electoral Commission's hands are tied.
Court makes an order, it should be respected as is. But then again, I think our take is also that judiciary needs to do better. If some of these orders that are being made, especially against government, and historically we know they do not respect, it should be done in another way. Maybe put an alternative that if this is not done, then we should be held accountable. Because now they are hiding behind who is the responsible party. You go to the Attorney General, he will tell you Parliament is delaying. You go to Parliament, the government has not tabled any of these proposals. And then the issue of giving court orders in a vacuum is really useless. It doesn't make sense.